Hey y'all, welcome back to Knitting in Our Jeans. I'm Liz.
I'm Carolyn.
And you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Toolizz for you, TOOLIZZFORYOU.
And I'm on Ravelry as CPREDMOR, and Instagram is Knitting in Our Jeans, where I've been roughly silent for about a week and a half. I've been on the injured reserve list. I went to the grocery store last Sunday. I guess we were recently back from our sailing trip. And Richard was tired. I don't know what Richard's story was. But I went to the grocery store by myself. Not an unusual thing prior to retirement. And I'm wearing my sailing sandals. So there's a lot of support in those. There's a lot of arch support, etc. And I get home from the grocery store. And I eat lunch. And suddenly my ankle hurts. And the area above my ankle hurts. But I'm figuring, maybe it's just like out of whack or something, and I roll it around. I hear cracks in my ankle. I went, oh, good, maybe it'll slide back. And then we went to work on the boat. It didn't slide back. In fact, it started to swell. By the time we got back from the boat, it hurt to touch the area. It was swollen, an area about 3.5 inches by 2 inches by about 1/2 inch. I went, oh, interesting. Aced it, got some ice. It'll be better by tomorrow. Well, it wasn't. So I said, Rich, I'm not going to the boat today because it hurts every time I walk on it. He goes, since when? I said, since yesterday when I told you that my ankle hurt. Of course, it really didn't penetrate.
No.
So
when you told him, he didn't have to go anywhere by himself.
Right. So I stayed home.
But now you're going to have to stay home, which means he might miss out on something.
Right, and he's going to the boat. So I stayed home for the boat, iced, ace bandaged, the whole thing. And in my mind, I said, if this is still acting up by tomorrow, Tuesday, that's 48 hours. I'm going to the walk-in that's attached to North Shore because they have an x-ray machine. And I know that our physician has a chest x-ray machine, but nothing to x-ray extremities. And I'm thinking, maybe I have a stress fracture. I have no idea. At the grocery store, my grocery store card had gone down the belt and into Never Never Land, so I had to stand there for 20 minutes maybe to get a new card. That's the only thing I could think of. New card. My Stop and Shop card went down the belt. So I'm standing there at the help desk waiting to get a new card. And I'm noticing that I'm standing on the leg with the new knee. I went, how interesting is that? Because you kind of stand on one side and stand on the other. That was the leg that went. So maybe I stood too long on that leg. Who knows? So Tuesday, I'm watching Tour de France. And in fact, we were on a mega binge watch of watching Tour de France, so we could start at the beginning, the time trial, and come forward. Thank you, Peacock, and NBC Sports. Love them. I think it's $30 a year, and I get all the bicycling I want. Anyway, I go to the walk-in with an appointment, so they tell me, I walk in, I immediately get a room, and no one can figure out what it is. But it's definitely swollen. It's not hot to the touch, but it's swollen. And it hurts to touch it. So if you poked at it, it hurt. It hurt to walk on it. So they gave me an ace bandage and said, rest, ice, compression, elevation. And
which is interesting because they're kind of moving away from that.
Well, that's what she told me to do.
Okay.
And I said, for how long? She says, look, if it's not better in a week, you need to see an ankle-foot guy. I went, okay, that's fine. So, came out, told Rich, this is what I'm doing. So, I had been on rest, ice, compression, elevation the entire week. Today, I went back to the boat. Didn't go yesterday. I don't know, I fell asleep after lunch. I don't think he could get me up. Because I got up early for the Tour de France, of course. And Friday we tried the grocery store. Now the grocery store was about an hour and a half because we bought a lot of things. He was quite surprised. We spent over $300 at the grocery store. Oh well. There was something that we bought 10 of that was something he wanted. Whatever. And it hurt. So came back, iced. The ice took the pain away. Fine. So today, been to the boat with the ace bandage, but no pain, no problem. So I think I'm okay. So I'm off the endangered species list and the
injured reserve list was what you said
yes,
3 minutes ago.
The injured reserve list. So we're fine. The boat may be okay, may not be. We'll find out tomorrow. We may have some roof rot in the bimini. It's a hard bimini. So we thought we were going to have like a 2-hour repair today, and it's going to turn into at least 5 times that much just from it going and looking at the different posts. There's 4 posts that hold up this bimini. One post doesn't look like they put any kind of sealant. Well, they didn't put any kind of sealant over the one post we removed. We have temporarily put it back. We will take out one of the other posts to see if that had any sealant. If it did, then someone was asleep at the switch when they built the boat, and it's just that one corner that we'll have to deal with. Anyway, so we'll see. We had 3 pages of things to fix. We were down to 2.5, and now we have this. So, meanwhile, the boat's fine. You know, we fixed the refrigerator and the freezer, so that's good. The head seems to have been repaired, so that's good. So we have at least one repaired head on the boat on the owner's side. We're now working on 2 leaks, 2 drips, really, on the owner's side. One of which is this post that apparently was not sealed. The other is a spreading hatch cover. And we just need to get a different screwdriver to be able to take the European screws out and do the replacement, because he apparently got the things to fix that. So that's good. So things are moving along, but depending on when you talk to him, he's either super depressed or super happy. So, oh well. But you know what? It's keeping him involved, keeping him engaged, and he's sleeping better at night because he's actually being physical. So, you know, it's great. Would it be better if we were sailing? Probably, but, you know. So I don't know. We may be here next week. Are you here next weekend?
Yes, we just discussed this downstairs.
I don't remember this at all. I didn't listen to your father.
I asked if we could go on the, if the boat was sailable.
Yes, that's right.
Because I would like to go out next Sunday.
Yes, I thought you said Saturday.
No, Saturday is a birthday.
Oh. Okay, I thought it was Saturday, I swear.
No.
Okay. So anyway, we'll probably record next weekend. And it's really a week-to-week thing because we don't know how we're doing with the boat. I would feel better if we got all the things done.
I know.
And I think that I would feel...
I think he would too, but I think he also doesn't
want to go out and do something.
But I think it's mostly that he doesn't want to disappoint himself and you by wasting this time during the season.
I think by repairing this stuff, we get to know the boat really well.
And I also think, like, as long as you can still go out, like, if I end up taking a day off or something,
that's not really a problem.
Right.
What we're fixing
is overnight stuff, not day sail stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Meanwhile, I got a new teapot for my gas stove.
She's very excited about this teapot.
Very excited about it because the previous one was burning my hand because somehow the handle got hot. Got a new one, so that's good. Anyway, and Mom is fine. Talked to Mom today. She was so happy we were on the boat and that Lizz and Ben were coming over for dinner. That made her day. Okay. So she's good. And other than that, I don't know anything else.
I forgot to save her phone number the last few times I've called her, so I need to get that phone number from you again.
We will do that. Okay, so on to...
Have you finished anything in the last few weeks?
I have not. I am still having problems, mostly with this thumb right there in that joint, which I know is a major joint that gives people problems, but I'm not about to have surgery on it because I know what I did was I overdid my knitting on the white Estonian shawl, getting it finished for the auction. I'm not making another one again.
Oh.
No. I would love to make one every year, but I'm not making another one again.
Well, it's not a yearly event, so...
That's good, because here and here hurt. In fact, the other day, Richard bumped it with something, and I shrieked.
I'm sorry.
Well, whatever. You know, I'm the one that made the offer.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I have to call Lizz and say I'm in
other
town.
offer.
Yes. So,
so you haven't finished anything.
I have not finished anything. Have you finished anything?
I have.
Look at this face.
I have finished it.
Mm.
I finished it, y'all. It's done.
That is beautiful.
This is the 2021 Stephen West MCal, and it is done. So now
we're ready for
2022.
And here's mine.
This is a lot more orange, like, than I thought it was going to be.
This is a lot more fall. Mine is winter.
Which, like, I'm excited about. I have a red dress that I think it'll look really, like,
I think
great
this is
with.
going on the boat with me next time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I love mine.
I mean, I love this. I really love the 2020 MCal one. Yes, that one. I love mine. The purple one I have. The purple.
Yes, I've
worn it to multiple weddings. I've worn it to work. I love it. But that's also, I think, because it's purple. Like, mine is black and gray and purple.
To be a deeper.
It is. It's a more of a crescent.
Right. Whereas
this is more of a. It ended up being more of a. That's more of a semicircle. This is more of a, like, crescent.
But I'm sure we'll make this year's.
I'm pretty sure we're going to make this year's. I'm thinking I'm going to go with a blue color palette.
No, I think I may stick with black and white and then put a purple or a blue in it.
So,
I've got some bright
2019, the Starflake is green and gold. 2020 is purple, black and gray and purples. 2021 is reds. Mm-hmm. And my other color that I wear a lot, like the next logical point would be to do blues.
Okay.
So that's what I'm thinking. But we'll see when we get...
Or purple.
I think...
I've got a purple up there that could go.
So, when we find out what the requirements for it are, we will probably start stash diving.
Exactly. So what else?
So,
That's
with that
lovely.
being done...
Yes.
I finally decided to do math.
Okay.
And it wasn't... It was partially math and partially, well, we're just going to do this. Of the Ardea top from the PomPom magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think it's in that one. It's in the other one.
Which still may be in that pile.
Oh, okay. So let's see if it is. Not that one.
I have to file.
Nah.
I know last time I was hinting we might have a change of residence. Sorry about that noise. That was
that was a pom-pom falling on the floor. No, it's not those.
We made an offer on a house in Port Washington. It was a lowball offer, and it was not accepted. Then they came back to us last weekend and says, well, the first offer they did accept has fallen through. Would you like to make another offer? We said, no, we're keeping that offer. The problem with the house is that it had a lot of stairs. Mm-hmm. And immediately after we decided not to raise our bed, I had the problem with my ankle, which pointed up the fact that maybe stairs is not a great way to go. We have, and with the problems with the boat, Richard can only handle so much. Mm-hmm. So, who knows? They may come back to us again. He was teasing me about our Bayview Avenue house, and that we were the fourth people on that house, and yet it came to us. So, who knows? We may get another phone call. We'll see.
You never know.
You never know.
So, the Ardea is that top. It was the cover photo from that PomPom issue. Which was summer 2021, and it's this beautiful textured, either crop top or long top. There are two lengths, and so you all probably remember that I did a swatch a while ago when I first got the yarn, and this is knit sideways. So what I did realize, reading through the pattern more fully, is that it's written so that you hit a certain inch mark.
Mm-hmm.
So so my gauge isn't as
critical.
My row gauge isn't as critical to calculate as, because it has a certain number of patterns, and then it says knit this section of the pattern until you hit this inches from cast on. And then you do the center line, like, motif, and then you start the other side. And you just do it equal.
Sounds like a plan.
And that's what I'm thinking. So, what I did realize, though, is that my stitch gauge is off from the pattern. So, I am knitting the cropped sweater numbers.
Okay.
But mine should come to about here.
Oh.
So mine should have about 8 inches. I measured a cropped sweater, or not sweater, but a cropped short sleeve top that I really like, and I like wearing my pants, and I think it would also look really good with one of these dresses, because this color will look good in the fall with either with this dress or with a different color. And I really thought that, and so I measured that top, and that top has 8 inches between armhole and waist, and bottom of
pattern,
bottom of just top.
Okay.
So this I should have, with my math, I should get about 7.5 with just this gauge, and then you add a ribbing, so I should be fine.
You go further
and also I would rather be on the side of shorter and add more ribbing than too long and be frustrated because I can't frog it to a certain length since it's knit sideways.
Looks like you started.
I did. I started it. And actually I had started it and added 20 stitches to it, to the cropped number, because I was like, oh, well, that'll get me to, like, the in-between, the cropped, and the long length. Not realizing fully that not fully remembering that my stitch gauge was off.
Right.
So I then realized, as I'm knitting it on the subway, that my stitch gauge was different. And I should probably do that calculation to see how long this is going to be with that new stitch. And it was going to be long, like too long.
Okay, so you ripped it out.
So I ripped it out.
Okay.
Well, I ripped it out so it's a provisional cast on. Yes. So I ripped it out to the row above that and then dropped 10 stitches on each side.
Okay.
So I got rid of the 20 stitches and then I ended up with right stitch count. So now I am on row 6 plus, so 20 plus, I'm on row 26 of who knows how many. Well, so it goes, it goes to, so the shoulder section goes up to 41, 41 rows. So I have 41 rows until I hit the neck decrease section. And then it goes to the back neck section, and then that is where it says work in pattern until piece measures blank inches from cast on edge, ending with a wrong side row. Make note of the final row and total numbers of rows worked in the first half, then continue to central panel as follows. And the central panel is 20 rows. And I figure what I'll do is I will also, honestly, I can just keep going. I can just make it happen. I'm knitting a 44 because I want it to be loose.
Yes.
But I think that'll work.
I think it'll be lovely.
I think it'll be fine. And then the second half is, note this section should mirror your first half. So make sure you took note of your rows and stuff.
Which means it's why you should read your pattern all the way through.
Mm-hmm. They have notes in here multiple times that say, make sure to continue reading before you knit this section, because they have sections that are sizes 1, 2, and 3. Stop here. Sizes 4, 5, 4 and up, keep going. And then size 4, you end here. Size 5, you end here. You know, so like you need to know that so you don't just keep knitting through or stopping before you should. Yeah. Well, and this pattern, I will say, anyone who hasn't knit it yet but was thinking about it, I have printed out the 4 pages that are the actual pattern. The other, 4 pages of this pattern are the pattern, or how to do an Estonian braid, what this wrap stitch section should be, what the slip stitch section is, if you're increasing, if you're decreasing, if you're just staying stable. So, because I figure I figure I have it printed so that I can start marking off where I'm at, but also I can have the printed page and my iPad next to each other, and I can use both so that I don't lose anything in scrolling back and forth.
Right.
To
you could lose a place in the pattern. Yeah.
So that's.
I love printing out my patterns. Some people use a magnetic board. She uses Knit Companion. I find I'm not really good at that, and I'm terrified I'm going to run out of power someplace, like on a boat, where I won't be able to charge my iPad. I'll be wanting to knit, and I can't. Now, I did not do much knitting while we were gone. I did a little bit of knitting, so I'll talk about that when you're done. But I find regular pencil and a printed pattern to be my best friend. And even when keeping track of what row I'm on, those hatch marks are imprinted in my brain. And that's the way I'm going to keep track of these things. So go with what you're happy with. Yeah. Knitting is supposed to be fun.
Yeah. So. There are very few times that there are knitting police.
I have found very few. My mother was one. But, she lives very far away. Well, not very far away. She lives 6 hours away. And she can't see well enough to watch me knit anymore. So,
I was going to say,
doesn't matter.
You're your only knitting police.
You really are.
So, I'm really excited that I picked this up.
She altered her knitting when she found that she was getting arthritis in her left hand because she was a thrower. No, she was a picker? A picker. And so she had tensioned her yarn through her fingers, and she found that it hurt. So she changed how she held her yarn so that while she picked her stitches. And I may decide to go 1 row throw, 1 row pick to help deal with this thumb issue. So we'll see. Yeah. I mean, it's an overwork issue, overuse issue, and
I will just say I did do 1 row of this slip stitch pattern backwards. Like I did the purl side from the knit side, but that's also because I am dyslexic, so my brain was able to parse that without too much. Like I did it while we were sitting and chatting downstairs. But that was only because I couldn't figure out what I needed to do because I couldn't see it from the wrong side. So I just
Are you happy
flipped
with it?
I mean, I now am making, so these are going to make little arrows. So now I start going back.
Okay.
But yeah, so now I just couldn't, because I was starting over here, I couldn't tell if I was knitting the same, like you have to offset it 1 stitch every time, and I was like, I can't tell if I have. So I just did it.
No knitting police.
No.
So
anyway. But that is all I've been working on this week. I was telling my parents that my work is getting very stressful right now, and it's just getting very stressful, and I will be probably very stressed for the next 6 weeks, and then it will be a little bit better. But for now, I think keeping one thing going is going to be my modus operandi. I might also start a pair of socks just to have that in my purse while I take the subway, because that might just be a little bit easier than dealing with a cotton, linen, flax blend on metal needles. Why did I decide to do this on metal needles? But because I swatched it on metal needles, I cannot use other needles now because you swatch on what you're going to use.
Well,
and that was what we've been
true.
taught in all of our, true. And also, like, we've dealt with that when...
Yes, we have.
And that's just, it's not worth the headache of your gauge changing because you're using different materials.
Right. So, my sugar maple has grown by a couple rows.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yes, I did work on this on the boat. So, it's coming along, and now that my hand is slowly getting better, I'll probably work on it again downstairs. This is Queensland, a soft machine washable blend of lamb's wool and cotton, and it will be great to be able to wear it, but I'm going slow. The other thing I've been working on, I got mail. So I got magnetic clips.
You did.
To hold my pattern.
Oh, that's exciting.
Isn't that exciting? So I bought these bar magnets that are in the back to hold my super gigantic metal clips for my pattern. And this means that I can use this hand to hold it up, and I can use my left hand to actually move the needle around. And I can sit with one leg up on the sofa and balance this. And I find that I'm transposing rows
better?
Less. Not moving them around. Of course, as we say, there's no embroidery police either. This is a Christmas angel pattern. But I have actually done a fair amount of this area. So my right now, what I'm doing is the green up, basically up to where I am there. So I'm going to fill in this, and then I'll start marching over and filling in more this way. But I actually have, you can see I've even gotten the ermine spots. And I've got one more spot of the brown to put in over there. But that has been going along, because, and I think this is less upsetting for my hands because I can use my left hand underneath and my right hand on top, or I can just use my left hand. Of course, when I did that the other night, it just totally cramped up. Oh well, the left hand isn't used to all that abuse. It better get used to it. Anyway, so I have been working on this. I'm very pleased with that. But that and my sugar maple are the two things that I was working on. When I was on the injured reserve list, I really didn't do any knitting. Because
reading?
A lot of reading, a lot of watching Tour de France. Yeah, is what I was doing. Frothing at the bit because I wanted to do more, and it would have made me quite happy to be able to do more, but there's really no sense in pushing this thumb faster than it can go, because I know that it will get better through rest, just like the ankle did. So, meanwhile, we haven't been sailing for a week, I guess. The boat handled quite well, really pleased with it, and now we're, if we can get the drips fixed, that would be nice. And then at some point getting the second toilet fixed. Right now it's leaking Chesapeake water or New England water. There's nothing else in it except the water from the ocean. So the fact that it spewed all over the bathroom really wasn't a problem because it was clean. So there's something in there that we may have to get a whole new toilet for that side. Okay. Fix the hatch, fix the leak. And then we'll see what else is on Rich's list. But certainly going out overnight, fixing the leaks is critically important. And really, we went sailing when we were in Connecticut. Yeah. I thought it was comfortable.
It was.
Really very nice. Today was a light air day, and I think I would have even been amenable to trying to hoist the spinnaker. I mean, it's going to have to be blowing like 2 miles an hour for me to hoist that spinnaker, and just to get an idea of what it can do and when is it a good idea. And all
I mean, because we were moving with just the jibba.
Yes, and today was even lighter air.
I mean, but we were moving.
We were moving. It was nice. It was nice.
I mean, I don't know if Dad would want to hear this, but I think Magic moves better than Circe did.
I do too. I do too.
I think this boat moves better than the old one.
I do too. But we're not
I mean, as I just said, like we were
jib alone
in light air. We were still moving. I think we were carrying 4. I think Ben said we were carrying 4.
Very possibly.
So, and we never, I don't know, Circe didn't, I think it's because she was so deep.
I think, well, she was very deep. So anyway, yeah. I think
being a family with a new catamaran to us is a very interesting experience, I think, for all of us.
I'm loving the kitchen. I'm absolutely loving that kitchen.
I think Ben is also appreciating that, like, it's not a boat that we have had before he has been introduced to it. Like, he is also
new to catamarans
right. And new to it all. So, like, we're all kind of learning together, which is nice. And what you all don't know is Ben got to drive, captain in Connecticut. And so, that was.
I think he enjoyed it.
He did. He very much enjoyed it. And now he has a job on the boat.
Yes.
So, yes. Which will be
under instruction.
Yes, under instruction. But it was good, and
the future looks bright.
I do have to say, like, the boat is,
there's
so lovely.
On it. It's nice. I think it's very nice. And I think we'll learn a lot about the boat by fixing the boat.
Yeah.
I love the kitchen. It's a U-shaped kitchen, so when we are in seas, I'm in this little U.
Yep.
And I'm not flung around the boat. In the newer versions of this, roughly the same size boat, it is an L-shaped kitchen.
Ooh.
And that wouldn't be good in seas. That would be a good boat for just sitting around in, but not good in seas. And we've
At
been
least
twice
not for
now.
you, not for the two of you.
We've been in heavy seas now twice in the month and a week that we've owned this boat. I mean, seas so bad that we're surfing down the waves. You know, and the boat was fine. The boat popped up, you know, it banged a little, and I think that's why we got the leak.
I think that's why you got the leak,
but you know,
I'd rather you have gotten it in the first 3 weeks of you owning it than on your first big voyage.
Yes, it's much better to be fixing it in our home.
Pool. Yeah.
Yes. So, should we talk about this?
Sure, let's talk about this.
Knits. I got it.
Interweave knits.
Yes, interweave knits, summer 2022.
We think we got it, or Mom got it during when we were all away.
But you were away someplace. Birthday? Somebody's birthday?
Little one's birthday? Someone's birthday? Abby's birthday?
Abby's birthday. That's what it was. So there's an article
the 1-year-old's birthday where I showed up with essentially a half a cord of foam bricks.
You know, construction engineer.
She likes to build things, and they wanted more outdoor toys for her. So I thought foam bricks, she could build anything.
And did her mom like it?
Oh my God, her mom thought it was her grandmother and her aunts, the baby's grandmother and aunts, thought it was like so on point for me to bring this. And her mom, who's one of my very good friends, she goes, I would expect nothing less. But I'm also glad your mom talked you out of the cinder block ones.
Yes, thank you.
Though they did say though if she really likes them that at like 4 I could get her the cinder block ones.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine because I've also gotten the soft building blocks for our niece.
Yes,
And it's great because you can step on them and they don't hurt like Legos.
Mm-hmm.
But she can still build things.
Yeah.
So that's good. Anyway, there's an article about entrepreneurs and women who are entrepreneurs in soft crafts. And then they start the Op Art collection, which is a really cute sweater.
Mm-hmm.
Again,
the cover, well, the photo for the, what is this sweater? Oh, fireworks. Moralette top. And it's by Lena Joie.
Yeah, Lana Joie.
And I think I've knit patterns by her before, and they're very nice. And this one
really
seems,
nice,
I think it's really
I
interesting.
Think it's really very pretty.
I think it'd be fun to knit. It looks like it's a center out from that motif down at your hip.
Yes. Yes.
It looks really, really fun.
There.
It looks really fun.
Next, we go to socks. The aperiodic. And they're color work, which means I'm not going to be making them.
Yeah.
But if you like color work, this would be great.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to stay away for some color work, except for the shawl. This is the Visual Tempo shawl, and I think it's really pretty.
That's really pretty.
I think it's really pretty. Quite good texture. It's a tussar silk blended with merino wool that they've made it in, which means it would be light and warm.
Mm-hmm.
They call this the retinal tee.
That one's fun.
That one looks a lot of fun. And this is also Lana Grosso Eco Puno. So it is merino wool and baby alpaca. I could not wear that on the boat, at least not where we've been, because it has been very hot. But certainly a blend of wool and cotton would be great.
But that could be nice if you're in an office where you're not controlling the AC.
Yes, absolutely.
I got told this week that I had to open the vent over my desk because it was causing because it would cool down the rest of the office faster if we had all the vents open.
And at that point, you put up your parasol.
Oh, and at that point, I pulled out the coat that I have.
Yeah.
And my shawl, and I was just like, I am not going to be mad because we were over 90 degrees, like 4 days out of 5 this week. So I will not begrudge that everyone else is very warm. So fine, we can do that. But also, I'm all freeze.
Right.
So we're just going to work with it.
When it's right over your head, it's very difficult. I had a conference that I had to be at in San Francisco. And where I was put was right under the air conditioning vent. And I ended up sick for 3 days afterwards. I don't whether you remember you and Dad were flying out to meet
I
us,
do. I remember
I spent
that.
2 days in bed. The housekeeping staff was worried about me because all I wanted was orange juice. Mm-hmm. It was bad. So for those of us who are temperature sensitive, it can be a problem.
Yeah.
This is Apollonio shawl, which is really visually interesting. The Italian painter Marina Apollonio created optical illusions in her art. So this is paying homage to the artist.
I think it's very interesting.
I think it's very pretty. I really do.
Yeah.
This is the Vasarely cowl. French-Hungarian artist Victor Vasarely is widely considered the grandfather of the op art movement. And so there's an op art cowl. Really pretty. Very, very pretty. And the squares are getting bigger and smaller. Very nice. This is the Rule of Odd shawl. Many optical artists experimented with straight shaping stripes to achieve various visual effects. Here, short row shaping at one edge and the supple drape of silk yarn worked at a loose gauge achieved the same results. So there it is. I like the color combination.
Yeah.
And it is basically a triangular shawl. It looks very nice.
Yeah.
So very, very pretty. And then it goes into the patterns. Let's see what else we have here.
Yeah. And then they have an article about parallel versus rotating floats. which I thought was really interesting. However, I will still probably do parallel because that's just how my brain works.
Right.
And also, I've taught myself enough about color dominance.
Right.
That, to me, it's always subtle. Or more subtle than how it's always shown in directions.
I don't find that mine disappear and appear that as radically as they talk about. Anyway, then we go to some lace patterns. They call it backstory. And so they got several patterns where the eye interest is in the back. This is called the Argentoya top. And the front is rather plain, and then you got this beautiful lace in the back. So I think if I were to make it, and I do like the sleeve length on it, I would put that detailing both in the front and the back.
I think the point was, though, of the
getting interest to the back. I understand that, but we're knitters. We can do what we want. This is the Marisol tea, called one of the grand dames of impressionism. Berta Marisol is often painted domestic scenes of family, children, women, and flowers, depicting life in the late 19th century. So this is an elegant panel of lace in the back.
Yeah.
What I would do, and the front, again, is rather plain. I think I might do an off-center one pattern strip down the front. And I think that would tie the front and the back together. I think part of my problem is that for me, visually, these don't seem quite tied together. They seem like two parts of two different sweaters.
Okay.
And so I would have to be able to transpose some part of this pattern that's in the back to the front. This, I think, is gorgeous. This is the sea glass shell by Daniela Nil.
And it kind of looks like there's like a scoop at the back that like kind of makes it seem as though you're wearing two tops.
Right. But the front is plain stockinette stitch. Again, I think I might put some of this detail right up at the neck in order to have, for me, to have it tied together. And I think that's the issue I have. Now, we had a discussion, Elizabeth and I, about this. This is called the Giverny top. And here's the back.
So we had a discussion.
It's tied.
It is, and it is, the back, with the lacing at the back hem, gives a subtle nod to the corsets worn in Monet's era.
Right, and here's the front, again, kind of plain. I'm going, I don't want a sweater that I have to tie up the back every time I wear it.
But you don't. You tie it up the first time you wear it, or the second time you wear it, and then you just slip it over your head back the rest of the time.
Now, see, the other thing I would do with this, since you've got the cabling going up, the cabling lace going up the back, I would continue that pattern around the collar in the front. And it does not seem to be doing that. And for me, that would, again, tie the whole thing together. This, both of us like this.
Yeah, this is beautiful. I think it's also the color that they chose to do the sample in is beautiful. Like, they chose well for this.
Not my
pattern.
Color, but
it's that deep, rich color that we both enjoy.
The restaurant at Maison Fournaise along the River Seine in West Paris, France, was the location for painter Pierre-Auguste Renoir's iconic luncheon at the boating party. The Fournaise tee features a mesh lace panel that covers the entire back and wraps around the lower body. So here is the lace panel coming from the back. See, there it is, and it comes around to the front. And for me, it ties it together. So I am pretty okay with this tee. I really like it a lot. So I think that the summer knits is really full of gorgeous patterns. Nice. Gorgeous patterns. Yes, it's a hit for me. Anything else, my dear?
No, I think that's...
Weave it in?
Well, I delivered a book to you.
Yes, I'm sorry. Mail.
I don't have my mail with me, because it wasn't so much mail as I had a meetup.
The Vintage Shetland Project. And I actually thought I might actually own this book already.
Uh-oh.
But I can't see it over there.
Okay.
So the answer is maybe, maybe not, but I don't see it now. And
I thought you did, because I thought it came with the box of yarn.
But I don't see it.
Is it in the box?
No. No. So I may have 2 of these. On the other hand, I may not.
Yes, it's right there next to Stitching Time behind the walker.
Do you want a copy?
I mean, sure. But I just...
Look at this.
But this is also why Mom usually asks me, hey, can you take a look? Because you're like, I don't see it over there. And I'm like,
an email for Susan Crawford while we were on the boat.
Yes, I know.
And she was saying they're having fiscal problems, Susan is. And I hate to see that. She's been through a lot. She's a very clever woman. And she was selling her copies of her book from her own website for £25 plus shipping. And I said, oh, get me a copy, because I felt bad that she was having such problems. And so Elizabeth did, and I paid you for it. You can have this.
Okay.
Since we do know, then she talks about the Norwegian connection with Shetland sweaters.
And just the color
and Norwegian,
sweaters.
Yes. So I have 2 copies now. Elizabeth can have a copy. But you can do these sweaters, obviously, in 1 color, 2 color, 3 colors, or as many colors as you can handle.
Yeah.
I have not yet made the sweater that came in the kit. I'm not going to be working on that for a while, not until my thumb repairs itself.
Oh, yeah.
But I do have all the yarn. And I think, Susan Crawford is a lovely woman. So if you don't have a copy of the book already, go over to her website. And if you can afford, was it $53?
£53. I don't remember what it was into.
I think it was $53.
I think it might have been something like that.
Maybe you want to consider getting the book.
Do bear in mind that the shipping is more than the book was at the time.
It's coming from Scotland.
Yeah, totally fine.
Which is the problem we run into anytime we import any of our knitting books or yarns from Europe. I mean, Jameson yarn is wonderful, but if I go to Jameson's website and buy it from them, it's an arm and a leg or an arm and 2 legs.
Which is why you wait to see if Argyle has it.
Right. Or Jimmy Beans or something like that. So, you know, they buy in bulk. So the shipping does not become overly onerous for them. So that's something to think about. So at the moment, Richard and I plan to be back on the boat tomorrow, taking apart one more stanchion or support, bimini support, to see whether or not there's wood rot in that. It's fiberglass, balsa core fiberglass, and what we found was balsa core rot because there was no sealant applied. And if we're lucky, it will be just because somebody who was building the boat forgot to put it in that one corner. So keep your fingers crossed for us. We'll keep you apprised.
Yeah. Anything
else, my dear? And I thank you very much for buying it.
Of course. I just find it very funny that you were like,
well,
no. I just appreciate that you just turned and looked and you were like, I don't see it. And I'm like, oh, well, it's right there. I know.
Obviously, I have the money to pay $53 for a book.
Which is fine. Yes. It was just another one of those, I can't find the remote. Oh, it's right here. Did you look on the table? Oh.
So anyway, the cross stitch is going along very well. The knitting, I think I can slowly start to pick up. And I like your sweater. So it'll be interesting how that moves along.
I know.
Yes.
I'm very pleased with my few days of work. So we're gonna just keep chugging along and see how it goes.
Sounds good.
All right. And with that, I think we're gonna weave in some ends, and we'll talk to you all next week.
Bye-bye.
Or soon. Bye.